Jay here from Stretford, Paddock, and this is Round Our Way with my good friend Scotty. How are we doing, brother?
I've been better, mate. I've had a really, really bad night's sleep. In fact, all week's been horrendous.
Really?
Do you want to know something funny?
Go on, yeah.
I didn't tell you this off camera because it's quite embarrassing. Although I did put it on Twitter.
We love embarrassing stories on this channel.
I'd had like 2 hours kip.
Yeah.
I've gone downstairs and my mum was making gravy last night and I just put my spoon in the gravy thinking it was coffee and then just found myself making a cup of gravy for my morning brew. When I got to the kettle, I looked down and I thought, that isn't Nescafe. Other coffee brands are available. If anyone has solutions for helping me sleep that doesn't involve Bisto or whatever.
Are you Uncle Albert in Only Fools and Horses?
Somebody else messaged me about that. I've not seen it.
Oh, mate, I love that episode. It's the one where they make all that money with the clock. Time on Our Hands, it's called.
Right, okay.
And Uncle Albert gets confused with the coffee and the gravy. Bisto or whoever, Maxwell House, other brands are available. So he mixes them up. So they end up, Raquel's mum and dad come round. First time they come round the flat, making them a nice meal and everything. And he gets it mixed up, so they end up pouring coffee instead of gravy on the food. It is hilarious, right? It's one of my favourite scenes because Del and Albert realise what they've done. They're all having coffee on the food, and then Uncle Albert gets offered gravy. Do you want gravy? And obviously coffee. And he goes, no, I'm all right. And Del Boy's fuming with him. And he goes, oh, you'll have some. You know how you love your gravy?
Yeah.
And just pours coffee all over his food. It is elite. But yeah, so you're about as clued up as Uncle Albert, really, aren't you? And that's the moral of that story.
That's not the worst thing you've ever said to me, but I'll take it.
Good lad.
Thank you. Anyway.
We're going to be talking about Erik ten Hag, who is my favourite bald manager and the best. He's been speaking about the Glazers. Now, as we all know, there is this takeover in the pipeline. I just want to ask you about this takeover, Scotty, because, and I mean this as a compliment, right? You're quite a cynical person at times. Well, most times.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you are. Do you know what I mean? You don't just take things on face value. You want to know the ins and outs. You go, hang on a minute, is that really happening? Where do you stand on this takeover or this sale of Manchester United? Because there's some people going, is it a sale? Are we just going to see some investment? And there's others going, nah, this is a sale. Do you think the Glazers are going to sell up and fuck off?
I do. I was cynical when I heard the rumours before the statement was put out. Was it a month ago now, just before the World Cup started, wasn't it?
It was the Ronaldo sacking day,
the week before the World Cup came out. And when I read the report, so I was cynical then. I thought, well, unless I see a for sale sign outside Old Trafford, then I'm not going to believe it. But all reports are that it does look like it's going to be happening, and I think the investment groups, Rains, I think they're called, Rain Investment, have come out and said they're expecting something to be the first quarter, and it will be a full sale. So I think that's pretty much all the evidence that I need as a cynic, as you say.
Listen,
my cynicism extends to who's going to come in and take over from the Glazers. I know we'll get into the ten Hag quotes very, very shortly, but I just fear for who it is. I don't think it'll be a better case. You know what they say, better the devil you know, or better the dickheads you know in this case.
Better the dickheads you know, or better the devil you know, yeah? One of Kylie Minogue's most underrated hits.
Really?
Yeah.
You like Kylie?
Yeah, why don't you?
As much as Sam Smith?
Don't be silly. Come on. Yeah, that is talking nonsense. Yeah, so as you've nailed it, I had it on my news early this morning. Rain Group are looking after the sale, or the executors, or whatever you want to call it. Those were the guys involved in the Chelsea sale. Obviously, there was a bit more urgency with the Chelsea sale because Abramovich was told to sell up and do one. So it's not quite as sort of straight as easy as it seems, because you go, okay, well, Chelsea was a quick sale, Rain Group are involved, United should be a quick sale. Well, there was pressures to get that deal done at Chelsea a lot quicker than Manchester United, but as you mentioned there, hopefully, and the target is the first quarter. On the buyers, I understand what you're saying about better the devil we wanted the Glazers gone, but who is going to come in? I'll reserve judgment and wait and see who that is. Yep. Do you know what I mean? If it is a sovereign state, that's not what I want to see. But if it is someone from a sovereign state, that's different. And I think we have to sort of, for me personally, draw a bit of a difference there. Ten Hag has been speaking about this. Now, when managers at United get asked about the Glazers, they're very cagey, aren't they? They have to be very, very sort of on the fence, praise the owners, really. You never heard a bad word about them, did you? In the times when under Solskjaer, Van Gaal, Mourinho, nobody, Moyes even were bad-mouthed, even post. Yeah, until Ralph Rangnick. Ralph Rangnick was the first one who just sort of went, you know what, I'm not having this. Like, I didn't like Ralph Rangnick as manager, right? I'll be honest with you. I thought that we were just.
I don't think anybody did.
No, we were terrible, right? United were awful under Ralph Rangnick, but I did like his press conferences.
Yeah.
And he didn't hold back, did he?
Yeah.
He was like, well, I wanted this player, I wanted that player, and he wouldn't get any of them.
He said what every United fan wanted the managers to say for a long, long time, and that will be his legacy at Old Trafford, I think. A lot of people were singing Ronaldo's praises for outing the Glazers in the Piers Morgan interview. I'd like to see Ralph Rangnick get a similar sort of credit for doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
He deserves it, doesn't he? If you're going to give it Ronaldo, then you've got to do it for Ralph.
And also, with Ralph Rangnick, one thing I will say about him, it's not his fault he was massively out of his depth as a manager.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the signs were there when you start appointing a guy who's been in the dugout 2 years out of the last 10.
Yeah.
And he was at Lokomotiv Moscow for his last job. No disrespect to him, but he was director of football there, and then he comes to manage Manchester United. Come on. What you expected.
It was like me throwing my 4-year-old into the deep end of a pool full of sharks.
You've done that?
No.
I thought it was just me.
No.
You want to learn how to swim?
Yeah.
Go on, there you go.
Stretford Sharks. Oh, well.
My kids are better swimmers than me. Honestly, I'm terrible at swimming.
I know.
My
I've
kids
seen
all
you
go
swim.
swimming. Yeah, we've been away.
Yeah, elegant. Whatever the opposite of elegant is, that's you. There's a lot of water coming out of the pool.
Yeah, help me. Well, all my kids are like proficient swimmers. They're really good, but I'm not. Erik Ten Hag has been talking about the Glazers. I've got some quotes here. He said about himself and Richard Arnold, we spoke about culture, objectives and goals we want, and he confirmed it won't change. It will be even better because more money will become available for this project. So that is, more or less saying, listen, takeover, more money coming in, even better, which you might look at that and go, well, that's not that emphatic. But it is compared to the previous managers other than Rangnick. And the fact that he's more or less saying, these new owners, it's going to be better.
When's the last time you seen a manager of any single football club saying that they've got more money coming in? Do you know what I mean? It's usually we haven't got any money to spend. No. So Ten Hag comes across as a man that chooses his words very carefully, doesn't it? So I don't think he would have said it flippantly, because now you've set the bar now and there's going to be an expectation that whoever comes in is going to invest money. But again, this goes back to who actually buys Manchester United. But you've got to think that they can't be doing it for an immediate profit. Because if you're going to bang out 6 or 9 billion of what's been mentioned, it's a lot. To try and turn that back to put cash in your back pocket, it's not going to be easy. But yeah, I mean, you got to be optimistic about that.
Yeah, you have got to be optimistic, and I think we've been waiting for this for 17 years for a reason. Most fans, I'll speak for myself, I don't want to protest. I don't want to have to, get angry about my club all the time. I just want to go and watch football and enjoy it. But we've seen what's been happening for the last 17 years. We know what the Glazers have done to this club. We want rid of him. We want some investment. And also, more to the point, we want someone who understands football. You were very articulate when you were on... I forget which channel. Was it This Morning you didn't? Good Morning Britain. Sorry. Is it 1997? This Morning? Is that even a thing
With Eamon Holmes and Lorraine Keller. Yeah.
TVAM with Anne Diamond.
Wow, there's a name.
Yeah. You think Anne Diamond was getting a shout out on this podcast? That's how we roll on round our way. But you made the point of a football club isn't just like, this isn't a supermarket or whatever. It's a community, innit? It's the fans, it means something to us. Do you know what I mean? I think Andy Mitten said something similar where he said, if you go into a supermarket and they put their prices up, you'll go to a different supermarket. You're not, emotionally invested in that.
Yeah.
You don't change your team because you don't like the owners necessarily. You stick with that team because it's something that's sort of, you've got an emotional attachment to. And the Glazers have never understood that.
No, the Glazers always saw it as a commodity. Whereas it was a community for United fans, especially the ones that go week in, week out. And I understand that football is a business. And a lot of people shot back at me on Twitter saying, of course, football is a business and stuff. But that isn't my pursuit as a football fan, to go and care about how many shirt sales. And I know, and I understand that, they have to turn a profit to maybe make, to make the football club run. But you've got to look at how the money's being spent as well.
Yeah.
Because it's great, again, go back to the potential new owners. We might get someone in who hasn't got a clue how to spend money on a football club. You talk about it might be a sovereign state. I know a lot of people have got them fears. But say, what's his face with the weird head out of Facebook? Zuckerberg. Yeah. What does he know about a football club? Or if Elon Musk was to buy United. That's what I mean. You look at the car crash that he seems to be making on Twitter. So it's great that we can get someone in and get a load of money, but if it's someone who's coming in and can't spend the money correctly, because whilst we can all point many fingers at the Glazers. The money has been spent. It's been really, really badly managed.
You couldn't be more right. This is the annoying thing. This is why I think the Glazers are just thick as well as parasitic. Because if you look at probably the best sort of comparative model is FSG at Liverpool. That's American owners who took over that club to make some money. They're not, they didn't have pictures of, Don Hutchinson on the wall or whatever. They weren't United. They weren't Liverpool fans. They looked at it, they saw there is a sleeping giant, got a massive fan base. If we spend a little bit of money, we can make more money. And they did that. And what they did with Klopp was they got in a manager who knew what he was doing, and they backed him. And they gave him the tools that he needed to win trophies. And now they've got to the point where it's better for them to sell up and move on, and they'll walk away with money. So they had that similar model to the Glazers. What the Glazers did, though, like you say, they didn't put, like at Liverpool, they put football people in charge. So Klopp had a person he can work with. I think it was Edwards, wasn't it, who he was working with? I forget who it was, the other guy as well. But there was football people who knew about football, how to run a club, how to get signings done, how to give the manager the right signings. If you look at some of the targets they had targets before Klopp arrived that they kept. It was like, I think they'd been tracking Van Dijk for years. They've been tracking Mo Salah. They knew that as well. Klopp was a sort of a continuation and a progression on from Rodgers. There was a similar ethos there in how they played football. Klopp was just better.
Yeah.
Whereas at United, you've gone from one extreme with Fergie to Moyes, or well, I should say from Moyes to Van Gaal, from Van Gaal to Jose. There's no Jose to Ole. There's no coherence.
There's
there.
no transition, is there? Period.
No.
It's just like that didn't work. Right? Okay. We'll go for the other extreme. And that's why Liverpool have been, okay, they haven't won as many league titles, but they've been more successful than United over the last few years.
Yeah.
And you can make the same comparison to how Liverpool were run, to how Man City were run when their new owners came in. Yeah. And you can say that they've got a load of wealth and have been buying a lot of players, but comparatively, the amount of money that City have spent to United isn't massively different. It's just that when, is it Sheikh Mansour who owns City, when he came in there, he went and got Tixty Bergstein. I always get his
mate. 60 Bergstein.
Sexy Berg.
I think you put me in it.
Is that right?
No, it's Tiki Bergstein in it. I don't know. Producer Callum's going to find out his name. Tiki. The guy, he played in the 1991 Cup Cup final, I think, actually. I should know. I think he might have been on the bench. But anyway, he worked with Pep, and he knows he's a footballer. He's an ex-footballer. I think Brian Marwood was involved. And let's not forget as well with City, and I hate City and I hate Liverpool, let's put that out there. And City spent a lot of money when they came in, the owners especially. But they got football people in charge who knew what they were doing. And if you look, Roberto Mancini isn't a genius. Manuel Pellegrini isn't a genius. People keep going about Pep Guardiola as a genius and all that. They won titles before Pep got there because they were a well-managed and well-run football club and they spent a lot of money. Manchester United didn't win titles. I would say Louis van Gaal's a better manager than Manuel Pellegrini. I would say Jose Mourinho is a better manager than even Mancini or Pellegrini. One of the reasons, not the only reason, that the likes of Pellegrini and Mancini had success was because they had a structure that was built for success.
Yes.
Manchester United had a structure that was built for commercialism. That was it.
Yeah.
So when you have a manager like Jose Mourinho who spends money and then goes, right, I need more money, I need a defender, I need this, and the club go, I don't think so. I've just finished 19 points behind City. City have gone out and broke their transfer record on Riyad Mahrez. I need more players. And you go, yeah, you can have Lee Grant and Diogo Dalot and Fred, but do you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, what's going on here? There's no rhyme or reason there.
No, not at all. Just tracking back then, and we're talking about managers not talking bad about the Glazers. Kind of throw you under the bus, like I tend to do.
Yeah,
or
please
ask
do.
your opinion. What's your take on Ferguson and his silence? Because you're talking there about Mourinho not being able to buy players after United had finished 19 points. Yeah. We sold Ronaldo and signed Owen, Valencia, and was it Obertan?
Right.
So
I think with Fergie, there's several facets to this. One, I think he got burned with the whole, was it JP McManus thing, where he went toe-to-toe with them, didn't work out very well, and he thought, I don't need this in my life anymore. I'm just staying out of that, sort of conversation. I'm going to run the football club as a manager, and if I'm given the tools that I need, then I'll be happy. I think he still lived in that era as well a little bit, where he thought value in the market and stuff.
He came out that quote, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he didn't quite move with the times. I think there was a time when we were in for Eden Hazard, and one of the reasons that Fergie wasn't keen is because the agent fees for Hazard would have been the same as what we paid for Chicharito as a transfer. So it would have been about £6 million just for Hazard's agent. And Fergie's like, I'm not paying that for an agent or as part of this deal when I've just bought a player for that. And you're like, well, you've got to move with the times. That's what it takes now. This was like 2011 or whatever it was. 2012, sorry. So I think there's that issue. I do think that, there was, I don't know if naive is the right word with Sir Alex Ferguson, but I think he felt he could get away with that. He could still have that ethos and have that belief of, no, I'm going to still stick to my guns, and when I need to, I can go for the lower price players and get the free transfers in and do this, that, and the other, and it can work. And it didn't quite work the way it should have done, because I think in 2012 or 2011. Even before that, actually, in 2009, when Tevez leaves and when Owen leaves, when Ronaldo leaves, for starters, we should have bit the bullet with Tevez and give him what he wanted. You keep Tevez, and it's a totally different conversation. Secondly, we should have gone out and pushed harder for Benzema than we did. And also, when you had the likes of Silva available, Yaya Toure available, and we let City get these players, we could have got those players if we'd have matched what they were offering. Yeah. Because I know, not being funny, but Yaya Toure would have chosen the club that he's just faced in the Champions League final for the same money as the club he probably never even heard of. But we didn't. We didn't push for that. And I think that was where Fergie sort of fell short, because I love Sir Alex Ferguson. He's the greatest manager in the history of football for me, second to none. But I think he's not perfect, and I think that was one of his slight flaws, is when it was time now to start twisting a bit more, he stuck, and he shouldn't have done.
And his silence on the Glazers. He's not said anything Nazi since.
I think, again, it comes down to him being a little bit burnt, maybe with the McManus thing. I think he maybe feels like he can't speak out because he's still got a role at the club and it's going to cause more dramas. And maybe he even feels like, you know what, when I wanted these transfers that I wanted, I got what I wanted. Which, I kind of understand. It is just a little bit disappointing for me though, because I think the real time actually with Fergie might have even been before the Glazers arrived. I think if Fergie then had said, "Not for me," I think there's talk that maybe that deal wouldn't have even happened, because part of the deal was him being as manager. So maybe that was the time. But listen, it didn't happen, and
we are on to new pastures. I think
new pastures. Anyway, talking of new pastures, yeah. That's a cue there for the Manscaped read, if we can get that on the screen.
Were you referring to pubic hairs as a pasture?
Yes.
All right, nice.
Talking of new pastures. If you want to keep your pastures new, then you need to check out Manscaped, because 'tis the season for clean balls. Fa la 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 la.
La 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 la.
That is the most Mancunian fa la 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 you've ever heard. Our friends at Manscaped are helping you clear your driveway for safe travels this holiday season. From stocking stuffers to gift exchanges, Manscaped's products are at the top of every wish list. Grab some crop mops for your pops or the shampoo for your boo. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know what half that sentence means. Be the start of gifting season and help all the men in your life go from eggnog to nice hog. I always struggle with that.
Nice hog?
Eggnog to nice hog. What's that mean?
What's the transition, sort of?
I think hog. Does nice hog mean that you willy's the hog and it's nice?
Yeah, because it's bald.
Right, okay.
I think, but
eggnog.
Eggnog.
Why are you going from eggnog to nice hog?
Your chap doesn't look like eggnog, does it?
What is eggnog?
It's the drink, innit?
Is it got alcohol in it?
I think you can do it with or without.
Well, I'm not interested.
I don't want to drink anything that's got egg in the name.
Sounds minging.
Yeah, but get the hog, man.
Yeah, but anyway, you can go from eggnog to nice hog with Manscaped. Hang on a minute. Yeah,
milk punch.
Milk punch, there you go. Right, thank you for that, producer Callum. Anyway, I digress. This December, by going to manscaped.com and using the code, and this is a seminal moment for me on this channel, Motti20. Finally, I've got my own code on our podcast. I've arrived, yeah? Never mind all this Howson and Devils and all these other codes. Motti20, using the code Motti20, because for Christmas, Scotty, we don't want the silver package.
No.
Or the gold package. We want the platinum package 4.0, yeah? Because you've got loads of little presents in there. You've got the lawnmower 4.0. You've got the weed whacker to get rid of all the nose and the ear hairs. You've got the shears 2.0. You've got the anti-chafing technology in the boxer briefs. You've got the crop preserver. You've got the crop toner. You've got a bag that it all comes in. It is the ideal gift for Christmas, right? Even if you're not looking to spend any money at Christmas on anyone, you can still get them this gift for yourself. Just get it for yourself. That's a gift for you.
You've sold it to me, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me that Manscaped now. Motti20 was it?
Motti20, right, is the code. You're going to look the business on Christmas, yeah? You can have a nice hog, as they say.
Well, Producer Callum must have a lovely hog. He was
Producer Callum, he was just telling us off camera, wasn't he, that now he's courting now, as they say, all thanks to Manscaped. I think he actually said it was down to Manscaped.
We can quote on that, can't we?
We can quote. That's true. He gives a thumbs up.
Yeah.
He didn't use Manscaped. He didn't have a lady friend.
Yep.
He started using Manscaped, and now he's got a lady friend. You do the maths.
Yeah, and now he walks around with tackle as bald as Christmas turkey.
He does. So go and check it out. 20% off and free shipping. Use the code MOTTIS20. Your jingle balls will thank you at Manscaped.
I fancy that.
Yeah. Get involved. Big thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this podcast. Should we just talk briefly about the World Cup final?
We can.
Do you have a dog in the fight?
I have 2 dogs in the fight.
The beautiful, lovely, somewhat underrated Rafael Varane.
Yes.
And the animalistic hero that is Lisandro Martinez.
Them two. Everyone's talking Mbappe versus Messi, and for me it's Martinez versus Varane.
Well said.
How good is it to have Manchester United centre-back pairing in a World Cup final? This demonstrates what I've said all along, and I think you feel the same, is that Manchester United have the 2 best centre-backs in world football, and I will not be told any different. The evidence is there, will be there on Sunday, when these 2 giants, short king, a giant and a short king, will go head to head. I want Martinez to win it if I'm choosing one out of the 2, though.
Yeah, me too.
Varane's got enough. I've heard Mrs. Varane is sick of all the silverware that she has to polish. So it'd be nice for Martinez to come back with a World Cup medal.
Yeah, it would. It would. I'd prefer Martinez to win it just because of the fact he hasn't got. But it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult because there's a part of me that thinks Varane, man, 4 Champions Leagues, 2 World Cup winners medals. That is elite career.
Yeah.
Like, who's got that?
Not many people.
Like, has anyone got that?
I can hear producer Callum tapping away while we.
No, I think that would make you the most successful defender ever. Like, in terms of trophies.
At Manchester United.
Well, No, I think in the world.
No, we've got that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Manchester United.
Yeah, you beat Manchester United. Because I don't very few players have got 2 World Cups. Like, if you look at that France squad, how many of that France squad were around in 2018? Like Mbappe and Giroud and Griezmann. But how many Champions Leagues have they got?
Did France win back-to-back World Cups in the 90s?
No.
No, so it's
they won it in 98.
It's Euros and the World Cup.
Yeah, so in terms of 2 World Cups, so we've won 2 World Cups is like almost unheard of. And if you look at this squad from the 2018 team, like moving forward, yes, they've got players who played in both tournaments. So I think Griezmann and Mbappe and Giroud and Lloris, but none of them have got 4 Champions League winners medals.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He's the only one who's won the lot domestically and the lot internationally.
So before the World Cup started, and we looked at all the players that were announced to go away to their international squads and join up in Qatar, who do you think has been the best performance? And who's been the worst?
From United?
From United, yeah, because if you look at it, in my mind, I wouldn't have said it would be Ronaldo, because at the time he was a United player when he was going, but I can't think of anybody else that was a United player at the time has had a worse World Cup than him.
Well, I'm going to say Ronaldo because he don't play for us anymore, so it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be harsh on anyone who's still there. Certainly the most underwhelming, I think, is Ronaldo. I know he's not our player anymore, but you know the point I'm making.
He was when we went, though.
Yeah. I think in terms of the most impressive, it's difficult because Martinez hasn't played every game, has he? He's not started every game.
No.
So even though he's in the final, he's not started every game. He's been a sub in some of those games. He's certainly having a very good World Cup. So it'd be maybe a bit OTT to say he's the one. Because I also expected him to have a good World Cup. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. I think Varane has just done Rafael Varane things. Absolutely mint. In a mint team, doing what he does. When you put him in a mint team, he wins things. I think One that gave me a lot of joy is Marcus having a good World Cup because of what happened in the Euros. I wanted him to have a good World Cup. I think it helps him and it keeps that continuation of him having a good start to the season. So that was, a big positive. Delo's done all right.
Fernandes had
Casemiro had a good,
Fernandes had a good World Cup.
Yeah. Bruno Fernandes, yeah, you're right. Casemiro, I know Brazil didn't really do what they should have done, but I think he played well. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's anyone for United where I go, wow, that was unreal. I didn't see that one coming. I think the sort of the good players have played well. Luke Shaw's having a good season. He's had a good World Cup. The players we've all mentioned are playing well this season.
No one's coming back with egg on the face, and that was always my fear before the World Cup, that wants to turn, and that was why I was a bit hesitant about wanting Rashford to go, just in case anything sort of happened. But it's nice to know that they are going to come back. I don't know what shape they'll be in when they return from Qatar, but that nobody's come back sort of with a target on their back. No. And as United fans that don't really have much investment in England, I know you do, but
listen. Even I remember the dartboard on the back of the paper and the effigies of Beckham. Yeah, and Phil Neville getting death threats. The chance to Ronaldo for playing against England. Do you know what I mean? And I think his house got vandalised. So I understand completely where you're coming from. My main sort of emotion with what happened with Rashford in particular was relief. I just felt relieved that the kid had a good World Cup because I didn't want him coming back with more drama. And the other players, like I say, they've sort of done what it says on the tin. Do you know what I mean? I always felt this would be a tournament for Bruno to do well in, and he has done well.
He really has. I'd say him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he has. And it always baffles me with Bruno. There seems to be all this almost whispering campaign against him, don't there? Like, just people who are like, and I think
he's a better player this year with Eriksson alongside him. Because I've been a critic of Fernandes, but I just think when he's got a bit less pressure on his shoulders,
he doesn't do things that he shouldn't do.
He doesn't have to feel like he has to do everything.
The 70-yard pass every time, or the shooting from 50 yards or whatever.
And I think that was in reference to the calibre of players around him, really, I think.
No, I think it's a fair comment. And listen, Bruno Fernandes had a great tournament. Hopefully he can bring it back. I think he's having a good season in a slightly different role, like you say, with Eriksson alongside him. And I think United have got a really strong midfield. And I think you look at, maybe you could argue, actually, Eriksson didn't have much of a tournament, did he?
No, but they were a bit disappointing, though, weren't they, Denmark?
Because they were like one of the favourites, weren't they? Which is weird.
Yeah,
they were like 4 favourites, which I didn't see that one coming. And I don't think you can point the finger at Christian Eriksen in particular, but I think in terms of expectation, maybe people thought Denmark were going to do a bit better than they did. Yeah. So, and again, I'm not blaming him because and also he's been ran into the ground, the poor kid.
To try and bring it back full circle, then. We were talking at the beginning of the show about new owners coming in the first quarter. I think every single United fan is quite optimistic for how the end of the following season or the end of this season will look. Do you see any knock-on effect from what's going on with the ownership of the club that might affect how they're performing on the pitch? Because obviously the players only got the news the same week we did, and a lot of them have flown out to Qatar for the World Cup and then coming back. Do you see that making any sort of having a hindrance?
No, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I remember, was it Luke Shaw who once he said, when you look at what's going on above us, it doesn't make life easier or something. Now, a lot of people praise him if you're calling out the Glazers and all that. But I remember at the time thinking, whilst I understand that sentiment, what's that got to do with you not marking Mo Salah? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, I think the players, there seems to be a good spirit there. Ten Hag seems to have instilled both discipline and team spirit, which is, what you need, obviously. It's not just like, with Ole, I thought there was a good bit of team spirit, but at times maybe the players were getting away with things they shouldn't have been. He was like everyone's mate when you need a bit more of a firm hand at an occasion, and I think Ten Hag's got that. So I think that we'll be all right. And, I hope that if there are any feelings towards the ownership, it's just positive ones, because it's like they must see the reaction from the fans. A lot of the players are on social media, so they'll see that the fans aren't happy. You don't have to be on social media to know your games have got postponed against Liverpool because the fans are protesting against the owners. So I'm hoping this will be positive vibes, and with Ten Hag's tactical nous and the fact we've actually got one of the best squads we've had in a long time. I think we can't ignore that. I think we could. Fingers crossed, be on happy days.
Even for a cynic like me, I shall agree with you.
I'm taking that. If he's agreeing with me, I'm taking that.
The Grinch will...
The Grinch is having it this Christmas, I'm telling you. Scotty, where can people find you?
I don't know.
There you go. That's the best plug I've ever heard, especially considering we do a podcast together.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Scotty and Motta podcast. I'm sure Jay will put something in the... I'm not a salesman. You got all the all this
expect you to be a
dancing vibe.
salesman. I'd like you to remember the channel that me and you have together.
Scotty and Motti. Google it.
Thanks for that. A big thanks.
I've not slept.
A big thanks to our friends at Manscaped as well. Go and check them out using the code MOTTY20, 20% off and free shipping. There's a link in the description. Thanks for joining us, Scotty. A good laugh that. Make sure as well you are liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. We've got loads of videos coming up. We've got a bit of a scout report on someone who could be the next Haaland coming up as well. So make sure you check that out. I've been Jay Motti. This has been. Oh, wait a minute. Slap on the wrist for me.
Yeah.
I almost forgot to mention the main event coming up on the 30th of December. Yeah. Me, McCullough, Smith, Howson, and Chocky. Brian McClare. Yeah. The first player since George Best to score 30 goals in a season at Manchester United. 117 goals for Manchester United. 4 Premier League winners' medals, which by my reckoning is 4 more than Steven Gerrard. Yeah. 2 cup final goals, I think. Might be more. Forgive me, Chocky. He's going to be with us on stage in Dublin. Get involved. There's a link in the description. Come and join us. It's our first ever live event at Stretford Paddock. We're going to have a right laugh. I was with Chocky today, and I said to him, he said, do you need me to have a bit of a filter and temper what I say? I said, no. I've been telling everyone you don't have a filter. Yeah. So do what you normally do, because if you ever listen to Chocky, he will tell you exactly what went on under Sir Alex Ferguson. The guy does not hold back. It's brilliant. He's hilarious.
I think the last time I seen Chocky was when I interviewed him on stage. It was a live event in Manchester.
Yeah.
And he didn't hold back then at all.
He's the opposite of like MUTV. He just tells you what he thinks. It's great. So yeah, come and join us in Dublin on the 30th. We look forward to seeing you guys there if you can make it. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And just one final plug. It's the 12 days of Paddock for our members. If you join our membership, you get extra content, and also you get a chance to win prizes for 12 days over Christmas, including £500 as a cash prize, the big prize, £500. You're not allowed to enter because you've been on the channel too much.
You should do door to door, you.
Thank you.
Very good
I did it. I used to do it once with gas and electric.
Yeah,
I didn't like
you got all the arms and all that.
Yeah, it was. I didn't knocking on doors in the rain. It was another job I got sacked from.
Anyway,
I digress. This has been Round Our Way. Thanks for watching.